Well, hi everybody, and welcome to another one of our virtual events. We have a lot of fun things that we're going to be watching today. Today is April the 8th, 2021, and we're going to be talking about April the 8th, 2024, when literally a magical thing is going to happen across our community. Before we get started, if someone asks you to watch this, make sure that you register. That link is in the comments. And if you have some comments or some questions, or you want to answer anything that Mr. Warren Hart will be asking you, then go ahead and do that in the comments. So we're going to get started on a fun ride. I'd like to introduce our very own CTC astronomer, Warren Hart. So take it away, Warren.
Yes. All right. Appreciate it. Well, like Ms. Ozer said, there is coming an event. And what is extremely unique about this, if you search back in history, I found out that this will be the first time in over 500 years, 517 years plus, actually, that we will have a total solar eclipse, that the path will go right over us, right over CTC and the surrounding area here. And you'll see that as we get into the map. But it's something that people, when you read about or hear about, it's the total solar eclipse is extremely awesome, if you will. If you want awesome, a total solar eclipse is awesome. Some of you may remember, or a few might have participated and went up. Now I believe it's 3 years ago, I lose track, of what was called the Great American Eclipse. And it was titled that because the entire path of the eclipse started out in the Pacific Ocean. It came across the United States beginning in Oregon, went across the mid part of the U.S., and then it exited, if you want to say that, at South Carolina, and then it ceased out in the Atlantic Ocean. So it was titled The Great American because no other country in the world had that eclipse at that time. You will see on this one, when we show the map, there are three countries at least, and there's a few islands that will share this, but we are calling it at the planetarium the Great Texas Solar Eclipse. So, well, we have a map, and we'll want to go through. And as been mentioned, if any of you have a question, a comment at any time, soon as you have that, be sure and let us know. I am comfortable with anyone asking your question right then. I prefer that. I don't want anyone, well, I'll wait till he's through, because my through lasts quite a long time. Now, if you will look on the screen now, you should see the map of the total solar eclipse for April the 8th, 2024. So it looks like that we have predominantly, it's going to be coming in from the southwest and the southern mid part of the Pacific Ocean. As you can see, as that center blue line that is bounded on both sides by two red lines, that is the total width of the total solar eclipse. And you can see on there a black circle in the middle of that path. And what that is indicating, that is the point along the eclipse where you would get, if you were there, you will have the maximum amount of time for the solar eclipse. So what we're going to do, we're going to demonstrate for you at your leisure later on. And I believe Ms. Ozer has a link for you, or be available, of how you can go to this on your computer. This is an excellent map that I've used in the past. It is interactive, and you will see that feature here. So let's begin. Notice, for those of you, look over on the left, and you see there in the white vertical box the plus minus. Well, of course, that's zoom in, zoom out. So we are going to start working our way in to where we are here in Texas. So let's zoom in, and notice here it comes, and keep clicking. And now we're going, and each time when you click on it, and we take, if it goes off as far as that, you would take your cursor, put it out there on the map, do a left click, hold it down, and then you will pull the map around to where you want it. By now, you should see pretty well in the center part of the map. And to demonstrate, Cindy, if you will left click, and let's get Colleen right up in the very middle. Just hold it down. Go ahead and take that off. There you go. And move it up. Now, good, good. Now that will go off in just a moment. Okay, now you can, pardon me. Now you can begin to see the Colleen area and CTC, and that black will go off in just a moment here as we go in. There you go. Now we can zoom in closer. You can get in very, very close, and we've got to go to, we're east of our campus, so you got to drag the map over to the right. There you go. Keep dragging, and there comes in. The map on the right is on the left. Keep dragging it over and put the campus right in the center of the map. Okay, excellent, right there. Now, you can see the campus, and what you will do, and you would notice it periodically, whenever you move your cursor and then you do a left click. So let's go to, let's see, you have the library or the theater note indicated. Okay, the theater, click, Mayburn Science Theater, good. Gives us information. Okay, take that off. And let's get now. Now, everywhere you would move your cursor and then do a left click, this information page is going to show up. Now, it looks very complicated, but it's really, after you understand what it's showing, it's not going to be that difficult. Before we get into the detail on there, you will notice in the upper right-hand corner of that information box is a blue underlined word called help. So if you click that, then you'll notice what comes up is a screen, and there is everything on that information page that is explained for you. And it will go all the way, and you can keep going, and there'll be more information than you may be interested in, but anything that's on that information page, that little box that pops up, All you have to do is go up on it, click that blue help word, and then you have it. But we're going to leave it alone, and we're going to look at here's some basic information. Wherever you put your cursor and you did the left click, the system, the computer system, will automatically and send. If you'll go over and show them, uh, just move your cursor over on our latitude, longitude, right up on the left upper left corner. Yeah, right there where you had that, the arrow. There's our latitude, longitude. And if you'll notice as you read across at the top of that information page, how much time will we get at our location here on the campus of total solar eclipse? Who can tell me how much time we're going to get? Anybody have an answer?
4 minutes and
How
22
much?
seconds, Warren. 4 minutes and 22 seconds.
Yes, 4 minutes, 22 seconds. That's very good. The Great American was in the neighborhood, I believe, was 2.5, 2 3/4 minutes. So we're going to get almost an additional 2 minutes. The maximum here on Earth of a total solar eclipse a place could ever get is in the neighborhood of somewhere around 7 minutes. And there's some other things that have to be included of the setup at that time, the moon, how close it has to be to Earth. You want it as close as possible, and what we would call for the orbit of the moon, that would be called the perigee,
Hey,
P-E-R-I.
Warren,
Yes.
is it possible to make that box information bigger? They're saying they can't see it clear enough to read it.
Honestly, I don't know. We can try. You could maybe zoom in, box it, and see if we put it on a separate page. Um, Cindy, do you have, okay, you're going to try. Good, good. I always do snag it, but this is just as well here. And see then if you can expand that. Good question.
I'm getting there.
Okay, that's fine. And when she gets that opened up, then we can talk about a little bit more. Okay, and good, good. Oh, all right. You're getting better. Uh, Put it on a landscape paper view. There we go. Now you can blow it up even more. Uh, now we can ask, how is that? Is that easier to read?
They're not answering just yet, but I think it is. It's much
Oh,
bigger.
okay. Well, you got, as I was talking there is the 4 minutes, 22.0 seconds total solar eclipse. And then there's a slight correction for the lunar limb, and you would go into the help, and that will be explained what we have here. Now, you see that blue box right in the middle of the info page, and there is something that says C4, Well, what we're going to do, there are four, if you notice, go down below the horizontal orange or whatever color line that is, butterscotch color, and you'll see the first line, start of the partial eclipse, and that's called a C1. And it gives you the date, gives you the time, and then there's some other information we'll talk about here in just a little bit. And then the next line is C2, the start of the total. And then when it's at the maximum, and then C3, you're ending the total, and then the end of even the partial. Now, I just made up a very simple page, 5 pages of that diagram there that's there in that little blue box. So Cindy, let's go ahead and click on the first one there. And if you can scroll it up there, good, 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 good. The dark, the black, that is the back side, if you will, or the front side for us as we're looking at the moon, but we're at a new moon. And you will only get a solar eclipse when the moon is in what we call its new moon point. And that means that the moon is between us and the sun. The other opposite is when the moon is around on the other side of Earth at our nighttime. And so the sequence would be sun, Earth, and then the moon. And that would then be the occasion when we would have a lunar eclipse. But we have the setup now is sun, moon, and then the Earth. And we're starting, and I'm showing also the arrow. It's going to be the moon is the one that's primarily moving. So let's scroll down and we'll look at what C1 means. Notice if you can't, there, the contact, that's all that is, the contact of the moon's shadow that we're looking at as it touches the rim or the limb, we call it the limb of the sun. So it's just starting, and there is a time for it. Now let's scroll to the next page there. And now we have the total solar eclipse. What has happened is the moon, as it continues traveling across the face, we would say, of the sun, it keeps blocking it out more and more. By the way, we'll remind everyone on that date, April the 8th, 2024, that goes outside to view the total solar eclipse. You should never look directly at the sun unless you have solar eclipse glasses on. And you cannot take them off until every bit of the sun is covered. The word is occult, occulted. It means hidden. And even there's some people that have said what they do is they wait, and then it's just almost, and they take their solar glasses off, and that will still, just any fraction of the sun that's still visible will harm your eyes. So you wait until it's totally covered. Now, this is what we would see for our 4 minutes and 22 seconds. The moon is still moving, and when the shadow of the moon reaches the center point of the sun as far as lined up, that's that other line that we'll look at in a little bit that says max on the listing there of the time. And so that's when you are at the middle point of the full total solar eclipse. Now the moon keeps moving. And now, guess what? We are ending the total eclipse, and we have started then, if you will, the start of the partial eclipse of the sun. And it's going to begin to sun will become visible there behind the moon. And then finally, the last one there, thank you. And now we have, and I just moved it a little bit more, that there is, when we have the last contact of the moon's shadow touching the edge, the limb of the sun. Now, hopefully that is makes sense to you. If you have any questions, you can call in and let me know. But there again, and Cindy, if you can go to that box that you made it larger, the info page, and we'll see. There you go. Notice the first line underneath there was that C1, contact 1, the start of the partial eclipse. There is the date, and it is year, month, day. And the reason we want to point that out is that times you may have the same month number and the same day number, and you say, well, which one is which? Okay, notice the next column, the third column there. Time, and in parentheses is UT. Does anybody happen to know what that UT is?
All I know UT is University of Texas, and I know it's not that.
Do what now?
It's not the University of Texas, right?
Oh, no, it's not UT, Texas. No, it's not down at College Station. Very good. Okay, it is the standard time that astronomers use worldwide, and that's called universal time, UT. In essence, it's still not quite the same, but it's what used to be called Greenwich time. Greenwich is we'll just call it a suburb of London, England. And that was where back in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, and is still there, is the Greenwich Observatory for England. And that was chosen at a meeting way back previous centuries to choose which observatory, national observatory, would we use for the time that everybody would agree on for the rest for the world, to as far as for your time. Well, of course, France wanted the Paris Observatory. Russia wanted the Moscow Observatory. Canada wanted the, let's see, the on Montreal, I forget where theirs is, but the different countries wanted, and the US, we'd like to have it there in Washington, D.C., because that's where the Naval Observatory is. Well, the vote finally came around, and the US agreed with England and encouraged other countries, and so was chosen at that time the Greenwich Observatory as standard time for the world when you're wanting to make a reference to a time. And then over time, some additional technology came along, and we are able now to have what's called the universal time. Well, we don't have our watch set on universal time. We use what is called, would be Central Standard Time. There's 24-hour time zones around the world, and we are in the one that's labeled Central Standard Time. However, if you remember, 2 months ago in March, we did something. We changed over to Central Daylight saving time. Saving time is really a misnomer. It's an energy saving time, but that's beside the point. We normally, on standard time, we are 6 hours behind Greenwich, behind over there in England. And then when we go to the daylight time, we jump an hour. Remember, we added an hour. And so now we are only 5 hours behind. So here's what you would do. Look at that first line there. It says 17, 18, 53.1. The first one, the 17, is the number of hours. What you would do is you would take and you're going to subtract 5 from 17. And so the start of the partial eclipse for us here starts at 12, 18, and 53 seconds p.m. post meridian after the noon. And the next line, start of total eclipse. Same thing, subtract 5 hours from that. And what time do you come up with?
The 12:36.
Okay. It is 13:36. Well, that's military time. 13 is actually 1 p.m. So at 1:36,
1:36.
we hear that's when our total eclipse starts. How long is from the start of the partial does it take until we get the start of the total? Subtract the 2, and you will see it is, let's see, 24, 34, 42 minutes. So the start of the partial eclipse, the moon is slowly, well, relatively, slowly going across the face of the sun, and not until it goes all the way across that we have a full shadow of the moon on the face of the sun do we have the total eclipse. Now, once the total eclipse, then it's only, if you notice here, it's barely 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes and 11 seconds that we have the shadow of the moon directly over the center point of the sun. And then that would be then the next line, which is the max. Now the moon still continues to go, and C3 is the ending of the total eclipse. That's when the left side of the sun, as we would see it, begins to become visible as the moon continues across. And that's an additional, notice here, 2 minutes and 11 seconds. And so the total eclipse there, if you go back up to C2 and subtract that from C3, that should give you 4 minutes, and 22 seconds. And that's what they came up with, what you come up with. The moon continues. Part of the moon's shadow is still on the face of the sun. And then finally C4 of when we have the end of the eclipse there. Now, the other 5 columns there is for someone who wants to point a telescope, camera, or something, and you notice, first of all, ALT, that's the altitude. how high above the horizon is the object or whatever you want to look at. The way that's figured, at horizontal, looking straight at the horizon, that would be 0 degrees. And then directly overhead, remember your trigonometry, your 90-degree right angle, directly overhead, that would be plus 90. So the sun for us is going to be in the neighborhood of 60 degrees plus. You notice it goes up, and then it begins to start going down a little bit, the altitude. The other thing, you can point that angle up, but you have to turn it which way, and that is what is called the azimuth. And that is in relation to the orientation point for the azimuth would be pointing directly north, which would be 0, 0, 0 degrees, or for some, if you want to say 360 for the complete circle, and you measure that angle clockwise. So as you would go from the north at 0 degrees, going clockwise to at 3 o'clock position, that would be 90 degrees, 090 on the azimuth. But notice that we continue on another 50 degrees, and we're looking southeast at 140 degrees at the 61 degrees above the horizon. Okay. Now the P and the V are giving you of relation of the shadow in relation to some points on the sun. And when you go to the help and get that box up and scroll down, P, V, and LC will be explained to you. But primarily, all we need would be the time for our local time, how high in the sky, the altitude, and what direction do I turn to look. Notice the total eclipse is going to be virtually for us, and it should be, due south, because that would be going across our longitude, our meridian in the sky. And so that's why it's at 182, 83, and 84. And then it continues, and we go from due south. Now we go to southwest, there at 225 degrees. And the angle of the altitude of the sun, because it's starting its path heading down toward the sunset, and that's why you see the angle decreasing. Any questions on this page that we want? Just a little tidbit. Go ahead, Cindy.
I just wanted to point out, Warren showed me how fast this was going.
Yeah, how fast is the moon going? Look at that little number.
Mhm.
Yeah, 1,641 miles an hour. So let's see, 600 is approximately speed of sound, so it's about 2.8 Mach that it's traveling across. And so for everybody, I encourage you to stay healthy so that you'll be able to go out. And also for those who would, pray for a clear day on Monday, April the 8th, 2024, because there's no do-over. You can't say, I didn't get that, run it back again. No, sorry about that. It's a one shot. Now, if you also notice on your screen that blue diagonal line, that is the central line of the solar eclipse. And actually, that is plotting for us the center of the moon, and it's as a center there, it's the center of the sun as it travels across also for us. And
So, someone asked, where can you get glasses to watch these?
well, if you go on the internet, you should be able to purchase a store that we refer to quite a bit. It's out in California, and the easy name, it's called Orion, named after the constellation Orion. But if you type in that you want solar eclipse glasses, and you'll find different kinds. Some will be a cardboard frame, and with the film, the cover on it will be some mylar that's thick enough that you will not damage your eyes. And there also, you can buy a regular set of eyeglasses that you can use over and over whenever you want to go outside and look at the sun. You can use that at any time. It's not just for a total solar eclipse. And of course, prices are going to vary.
Warren, there was also talk amongst all the Central Texas librarians about getting together and possibly getting some glasses.
Sure,
So
you
there'll
can
be a
you
lot
can,
of options, right,
yeah,
between now and in the time of the eclipse. We'll have a
right.
lot of people kind of working together.
Now, I have noticed in the past, and you can do at any time, or most of the locations, if you make a bulk order, you will get a discount on the prices. And then you can split that up between everybody. But that is pretty well all you would need is the total, a solar sunglass kind of thing. And we have at the planetarium, we do have a telescope that is for solar viewing only. And we've used it at times. And we will have that out on that day that so people can view. Some of you may remember a number of years ago when we had the transit of the the planet Venus going across the sun, and we set up on the second floor, the balcony that we have here at the planetarium building, out on the deck, and we had that telescope set up, and you could view across that, and that's always safe. never never look uh, with binoculars or a telescope directly at the sun that does not have a solar filter on it. You are intensifying by looking through at the binoculars and the telescope. You are intensifying the uh, magnitude of the sun, and it would only take a few seconds, and you will be permanently blinded. And so that's very, very dangerous. Don't do that. There. Another option, and I've done this with groups, and I bought I got about 20, 30 different um, welding glass uh, uh, piece or whatever you want to call it, on the hood that a welder uses when he's doing arc welding. And there's a box there where they can put that that glass in there. That's what I have. And if you decide you want that, you can buy it, and then you just have to hold that up and you can turn and look at the sun during the daytime at any time. You want a number of 13 or greater. Now, if you go to a store and they don't have a 13, you can buy multiple numbers of their glass until the total is 13 or greater. Well, all we got, or the maximum we got, is a 6. Well, do you have, I'll buy 2 6s, and what else do you have? And anyway, you want to make sure you're a minimum of 13 and or greater.
They
Okay.
asked, is there a website or something that will be streaming it to watch it that day?
Oh, yes, there will be numerous places. We will plan also inside the planetarium. We will stream it live from either NASA or whoever is going to have. And if a place is streaming and all of a sudden it gets cloudy, then we can change over to a different location and do it. So, yes, and you'll be able to see that. There's also available that if you type in that you want April 8, 2024 total solar eclipse maps, there are books already out of Texas alone showing the path, and another for each of the states. You can do that. And then there are books on, there's a lot of information that is out. If any of you have contact or you work with a Chamber of Commerce, another school district, a hotel, anything like that, if they have not started planning for the 2024 eclipse, you're behind time. There are things you want to start doing. Ms. Oser and I were talking the other day that it would be great, and she's going to check in about the other librarians here in the area that are outside the total. Like, for instance, you can see on the map right here, look up at Brownwood. They're outside the total. Now, all they have to do is drive over a little bit and they can get it, but uh, they're out of it there, and Coleman is out. And if you look over the other way, Bryan College Station is out of it, and different places. So you could have a total solar eclipse party. As school districts, invite a school district to come and partner with you that is outside, or even if they're inside, if you want, get you a big party together. Now, if you want to make some money, I read on the Great American Total Solar Eclipse that they were advertising their camping sites, hotels, motels, all of those places were pretty well filled up. But there are some places that had some campsites. And this one campsite was available for $3,000 for one night. And people will pay. Expect for when we have in 2024, and I was explaining the other day, here is Monday, April the 8th. That's the total solar eclipse. There will be people from all over the world who travel everywhere there's a total solar eclipse on Earth. And they have the money and they will travel, and they will have made research to find out where along the path is going to be the best probability of having either clear skies or very little clouds. And that's where they're going to go. Some will choose to want to come 7 to 10 days prior to the total solar eclipse. Now, let's say they are coming from, pick a country. Let's pick Spain. So some are going to travel and they want to come early. Well, they've never been here to Central Texas. And so when they're going to check in to wherever they've going to stay for that time, they want to travel around, look at different places. What do you have for us to go see and do in your area that we can do that prior to Monday, the total solar eclipse? The eclipse is over that afternoon. Now, it's be probably unlikely, but it's possible that they would have then had an airplane ticket late that afternoon, or maybe stay the night one more and then leave on Tuesday and fly home. There's another group that are going to go, and they want to come first to the total solar eclipse. So they're going to come probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the latest to get here, checked in, stay, watch on Monday the total solar eclipse, and to get their money's worth for their airplane ticket, they're going to stay 7 to 10 days. So you can expect in some locations there will be people from all over the world in your area up to a month. And if you haven't planned on saying, here, let us show off what we have and what we can do, you're behind. So we need to think of as many different groups and things that we can start putting together, inviting people to come, advertising, all of that, and getting it here. Now, if any of you had you have a group, a church group, or whoever that you would like to have this presentation, we can take the website that we're using here and can go hook it up and show it at your location, and you would see how much total solar eclipse either you're getting or you're not getting. Now, I've been blabbering here quite a lot, so are there any comments or questions?
I don't see any on Facebook at the moment.
Okay. By the way, Cindy, if you will go to Bryan College Station and click on that. Take your cursor, just right in there, that anywhere in there, that's fine. And do your click, your left click on it. Notice it says, well, there's no total eclipse. All you're going to get there is the partial eclipse. Now, if you went back to the full big map, let's zoom out. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, now hold it. That's good. Now move your cursor out of the path. Okay. Again, it says partial eclipse. Now let's close that one off. Notice over here on the tip of South America, you see down there Venezuela. Go just beyond the green line. Click there. No solar eclipse. And also that boundary of that green line, there is no, that's even partial eclipse. Now, if you go just inside there, Cindy, on the inside right there, now you get, but notice it still only says partial eclipse. The only place for the total is right there where she's got the cursor. And then the big circle that you see up there on the upper right, there, that's indicating that's the end of everything. And the other end is where it's the beginning of here on Earth. So if you were on a ship right down there at the very beginning and just happened to be there, you would experience right out there in the Pacific Ocean, you would experience that total solar eclipse right there at that very beginning. Any questions, comments?
Well, one thing I wanted to show, while we're waiting for some questions, we've got we've got the Mayborn Science Center website that we put in the comments, and there's also a LibGuide that has different information that Warren has been putting in. He's been putting in his sky calendars, his constellation maps, and he'll continue with that. So, a lot of astronomy films, resources, the NASA sites, databases, our library books. So those are all in the comments. So we're working with the Science Theater to get all this fun information out to you. And, we're really, really glad that Warren is sharing with us all of this information so that we can keep everybody informed of what's happening in the sky.
Yeah. By the way, on that website that your LibGuide that you had there, Cindy, you mentioned, and we did see the calendar, and then also there's your calendar. I'm working on the May calendar right now, but the April calendar, if you wanted a copy, it's a PDF. And so you're able to click on it, copy it, and print it out. The same thing on the constellations. And every constellation, I've done all 88 of them. And there you can see, there's the crux. Now, each one, hold on, scroll back up to crux. Crux, keep going to the first page. Okay, now let me explain this. There are 2 pages I do for the first page. Every constellation, the first page looks like this. This is the map, the information, and the white area is the region in the sky that is designated by the professional astronomers. That is where anything that will be part of the constellation of Crux, that's where it would be. Now, because of where we are here at the planetarium, you'll notice that I put in, and you see there a brown line going across just above the minus 60 degree line on there. It's actually at 58.9, but anyway, that dashed line says that that is CTC Planetarium's southern horizon. What does that mean? I get asked periodically, can we see the Southern Cross? And I say, yes, we can when it's available at that time, but we only see part of it. Notice on the cross there, we can see the 2 stars labeled as number 8 and number 4, but number 9 and way on down, the 7 and the 5, all those below, we will never see unless you travel to the south. Now, there's some people who have a different horizon than we do. So I then scroll down to the next page, Cindy. Same thing, but without the horizon line. So some constellations, depending on where they are, I will include 2 separate first pages for them. Now scroll down to the next one. Every page, every constellation has the third page, and this gives you the information here, as you notice, for the 14 different stars and two somethings there, A and B, called Caldwell somethings. What are they? Well, if you go back up to the page, you will see, oh, there is something right there. And you notice it is, I have there about the two different things. Notice A looks like just a black box. Well, and B is a yellow circle. And if you go down look on the second page of it, which is this case, the third page, scroll down. A Caldwell is whatever, and you keep reading the information. Oh, it's a dark nebula. Nebula is Latin for cloud, C-L-O-U-D. Some clouds, nebulas, are light colored and multicolored, depending upon the gases. Others, like this one, has a lot of solid material that's in it, and so it's enough that it blocks the visible light that we can see with our eyes, and we call that a dark nebula. The B, Caldwell, you keep and you're reading on that and see over there. Oh, okay. And it's called the jewel box. So it is, and there it's a cluster of stars. And then you'll have what are the bordering constellations, any interesting information. And then if you want to view all of constellation crux, you see it there, you have to be either at or between those two northern southern latitudes. So that's available on every constellation. All you would need to do would be to choose which constellation, what first page you want, and then the second page, print them out, and you can take them with you when you go outside. And each one, if you want to go to those pages again, Cindy, I'll show them one additional thing. Scroll down to Crux where we were. Yeah, click on Crux. Now scroll down to page 2. Keep going. No, I'm sorry, the real page 2. Okay, what I've decided to start doing, so rather than just look up there and you say, oh, okay, there's Southern Cross, I've included, of the 14 stars that I've labeled, of those 14, which one is the westernmost star, okay? Which one's the southernmost star? Which one's the closest? How close is it? 64.4 light years away. Well, how big is it? Well, it happens to be the smallest one of the 14. Go on down a little bit and you see the VMAG, the visual magnitude. That's describing how bright it is. It's the brightest of all the 14. The next one down, Gay Crux, that happens to be the largest of the 14 stars. The next one down is CH Crucis. Well, it happens to be the dimmest, and it's also the farthest. Go down a little more and you say, well, which one's the northernmost? The one that we will definitely see. Okay, we'll see that. And you go down to the very last of the 14, and it's the easternmost. So every constellation of the stars that I choose to list there, you will have the 10 items: north, south, east, west, big, small, far, close, and its size, whatever. So
Okay.
that's available.
Are there any other? Oh, yes, yes. And thank you, Lauren, for working with us, partnering with the library on this. Are there any other questions, Lee, about the eclipse?
No, there's none on Facebook.
No? Okay. All
Okay.
right. So Lauren, do
Yes.
you have any last words about the eclipse that we should know about?
Yeah. Well, just stay healthy and be ready. Plan ahead.
Plan ahead. Yes, yes. And if you got a lot of land, open it up for camping.
There you go.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for visiting with us today. Thank you, Lauren, for being with us. Your everything that you cover is just fascinating. So, guys, make sure that you keep in touch with the Mayburn Science Theater, with Warren, with us. Ask us any questions, and we will get you in touch with Lauren. Uh, don't don't forget that tomorrow we have another virtual event. We usually don't have them on a Friday, but tomorrow's is 10 o'clock Friday morning, and it will be 100 years of photography by our very own CTC photography professor Julie Andrada. So mark that on your calendar and make sure that you join us then. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate you supporting these virtual events. We're glad that we can go ahead and reach everyone, all of our CTC community around the world. So, to have a pandemic to remind us that we need to reach out to everyone. But that's probably the only good thing right now. So, thank you, guys. Thank you, Lee. And we are ready. Take us out. See y'all later. Bye bye.